Hey mariners, and welcome back to our channel where we break down the essential rules of the road at sea. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most critical rules in the entire COLREG handbook, Rule 8, Action to Avoid Collision. This rule isn't just a suggestion. It's the core philosophy of how we keep ourselves, our crew, and our vessels safe out there. So grab your notebooks, because this is a big one. Let's start with paragraph A of Rule 8. Any action to avoid collision shall be taken in accordance with the rules of this part. It means you can't just invent your own maneuver. You must follow the established procedures laid out in Rules 13 to 19, like how to act in head-on, crossing, or overtaking situations at any condition of visibility, but it adds a few crucial qualifiers. Your action must be positive, made in ample time, and with due regard to the observance of good seamanship. What does positive mean? It means that your actions must make positive impact on overall traffic situation. In ample time is just as important. The earlier you take action, the more options you have, and the smaller the correction needs to be. Waiting until the last minute is a total disaster waiting to happen. COLREG don't really say when to start collision avoiding maneuver, but based on court rulings, you should begin your maneuver on distance 4 to 6 miles or when you have 12 minutes TCPA, time to closest point of approach, whichever comes first. And good seamanship? It's about using common sense, your knowledge of your vessel's maneuvering characteristics, and your assessment of the conditions, like weather and traffic density, to make the best possible decision. Now let's move to paragraph B. This is a game changer for many new watchkeepers. It states that any alteration of course or speed should be large enough to be readily apparent to another vessel. This applies whether they're watching you with their own eyes or on their radar screen. The rule specifically warns against a succession of small alterations. Why? Because small, timid changes are confusing. Imagine you're on the bridge of another ship. You see a target on your radar, and its bearing is slowly changing. Is it intentional? Is it just the vessel adjusting heading to compensate effect of crosswind? You can't be sure. But if that vessel makes a bold 20 or 30-degree turn, the change is undeniable. You see the aspect change, the radar trail hooks sharply, and you know, without a doubt, they have seen you and are taking action. If you need to slow down, make a significant reduction in speed. Again, based on court rulings, significant means at least 50% reduction of speed, not engine RPM, but your ship speed. Be obvious. Be clear. Your intention should be broadcast loud and clear through your vessel's movement. A series of tiny 2 or 3-degree turns just creates uncertainty and increases the risk of a miscalculation. Many tragic collisions happened exactly because of that. Next up is paragraph C, which gives us a preferred method when we have the space. It says, if there is sufficient sea room, alteration of course alone may be the most effective action. Changing course is often quicker and more dramatic than changing speed. It takes just 2 to 3 minutes to change heading for 20 degrees, while reducing speed can take 15 to 20 minutes for a massive VLCC. You can reduce main engine RPMs fairly quickly, however. Going from full navigation speed of 15 knots to 7 to 8 knots takes a considerable amount of time due to inertia. A significant course change can rapidly open up the distance between you and the other vessel. However, notice the conditions. If there is sufficient sea room, you can't just turn into a shallow water, rocks, or another shipping lane, or toward another vessel. You need a clear escape route. Good practice to keep your propulsion system ready for immediate maneuver in high-density traffic area. The action must also be substantial, reinforcing what we just talked about in paragraph B. And critically, it must not result in another close-quarters situation with another ship. There's no point in turning to starboard to avoid one ship, only to put yourself on a collision course with another one that was on your starboard quarter. There is no simple solution, but there is good, professional advice. If need to avoid collision with few ships simultaneously, make avoiding maneuver with worst one, even if it 180-degree turn, do it. This is why constant 360-degree situational awareness is non-negotiable. You must always be thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. Paragraph D deals with the outcome of your action. It says your action should result in passing at a safe distance. What is a safe distance? The rules don't give a specific number because it depends entirely on the circumstances. In the open ocean, with good visibility, a safe distance might be 2 or 3 nautical miles. In a crowded channel or with restricted visibility, it might be much less, but the required actions would be much more cautious. The key is to use your professional judgment, but the rule doesn't stop there. It adds that the effectiveness of the action shall be carefully checked until the other vessel is finally passed and clear. This is so important. You don't just make a turn and then go back to your paperwork. By the way, today's reality, officer on watch doing paperwork. I have to remind, paperwork during navigation watch is major violation of COLREG Rule 5. Prioritizing paperwork over keeping watch is a one-way ticket to jail. You make the turn, and then you monitor the situation relentlessly. You keep taking bearings. You watch the radar. You check the CPA, the closest point of approach. You are not safe until that other vessel is well past your stern and the distance is opening. Complacency is the enemy. I've heard too many stories where a watchkeeper took early action, assumed everything was fine, and then a few minutes later looked up to find the situation had deteriorated again because they didn't continue to monitor. Stay vigilant until the threat is completely gone. Now we come to paragraph E, a powerful tool in our collision avoidance toolkit. It states that if necessary to avoid collision or to allow more time to assess the situation, a vessel shall reduce her speed or take all way off by stopping or reversing her engines. Sometimes the best action is to slow down or even stop. This is particularly true in complex situations with multiple vessels or when you're unsure of the other vessel's intentions. Slowing down does 2 things. First, it gives you more time. Time to think, time to communicate, time to let the situation develop so you can better understand what's happening. Second, it reduces the distance you will travel, which can itself prevent a close-quarters situation from developing. In a head-on or crossing scenario, a reduction in speed by one or both vessels can dramatically increase the CPA. Don't be afraid to use your engine. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of a prudent, professional mariner who is in control of the situation. Taking all way off or reversing is a drastic step. It is one you must be prepared to take if it is the only way to prevent a collision. Finally, we have the not to impede paragraphs F, I, 2, and 3. This part of the rule is absolutely vital for interactions between regular power-driven vessels and vessels that are constrained, like those in a narrow channel, a traffic separation scheme, or a vessel engaged in fishing. Paragraph 5, dealing with ships engaged in fishing. Restricted in maneuverability, restricted by draft and ships not under command. This paragraph says that a vessel required not to impede another must take early action to allow sufficient sea room. This puts the responsibility squarely on the more maneuverable vessel to recognize the situation early and get out of the way. You don't wait until there's a risk of collision. If you see a vessel that you are not to impede, you alter course or speed well in advance to make it clear you are giving them the space they need. Paragraph 2 clarifies this obligation. It says that even if a risk of collision eventually develops, the not to impede vessel is still bound by that duty. You can't say, well, now it's a crossing situation, so Rule 15 applies, and I'm the stand-on vessel. No, your primary duty was not to impede, and you failed in that duty if a risk of collision develops. You must still take action, and when you do, you have to consider what the other vessel might do according to the steering rules. Paragraph 3 reminds us that the vessel that is not to be impeded also has responsibility to avoid collision. It says that vessel remains fully obliged to comply with the rules when a risk of collision exists. This is the ultimate safety net. If the giveaway or non-impeding vessel messes up completely and a collision is imminent, the stand-on or unimpeded vessel still has a duty under Rule 17 to take action to avoid collision by her maneuver alone. Safety is a shared responsibility, always. Never forget it. So, to wrap up Rule 8, act early. Act boldly. Use your course preferably, but use your speed when you need to. Always pass at a safe distance and check, and check again until you are passed and clear. And understand your responsibilities when it comes to not impeding other vessels. This rule is the heart of good seamanship and safe navigation. Master it, live by it, and you'll keep yourself and others safe on the water. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next video.